The ghoul race sat at the absolute bottom of the monster forest's food chain. Forced to scavenge on rotting flesh just to survive, they were nothing but living punching bags for the stronger beasts. But destiny took a terrifying turn. The once pathetic ghouls suddenly awakened an overwhelming power. A brutal, blood-soaked hunt against all other races began, crowning them as the new apex predators of the realm. However, the true mastermind behind this legendary evolution was a single human named 𝘲𝙘𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚. Once a rising star in the Korean weightlifting world, his potential for raw strength was absolutely limitless. During a massive tournament, he attempted an impossible 10-ton lift to completely stun the crowd. But his glorious showboating ended in an ultimate disaster, sending his soul straight into another dimension. Opening his eyes in a strange new world, 𝘲𝙘𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚 found himself surrounded by a flock of absurdly derpy-looking chickens. He honestly thought his endless diet of chicken breasts had doomed him to a poultry-themed hell. But these feathered runts actually dared to make him their prey. With a single explosive strike, he beat the absolute stuffing out of them. Suddenly, a mystical system window materialized right before his eyes. He could read their combat stats just like a video game. Despite their ridiculous appearance, their meat possessed a god-tier protein level. Starving and completely desperate, our overpowered main character devoured the entire flock. But the post-meal clarity hit him like a devastating truck. He had reincarnated into a terrifyingly frail, skeleton-like vessel. Years of blood, sweat, and grinding for that perfect six-pack had been completely wiped away. Fortunately, his monstrous base strength had crossed over with his soul. Grasping a massive ancient tree with his bare hands, he effortlessly uprooted the giant wood and threw it onto his shoulders to begin his hellish training. 3 grueling months passed by. His muscles bulged with new life, yet it was merely a shadow of his former legendary glory. Spotting another flock of incredibly plump chickens, his divine craving for pure protein flared up once more. But suddenly, an overwhelming, bloodthirsty aura materialized right behind his back. The air itself grew incredibly heavy. As he slowly turned his head to investigate the deadly presence, his heart nearly jumped straight out of his chest. A gargantuan mountain-sized chicken towered over his frail body. He had slaughtered its offspring, and now the terrifying beast had come to collect a massive blood debt. Knowing that a single strike would turn his weak frame into absolute mush, 𝘲𝙘𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚 desperately bolted for his life. Yet even while sprinting from the jaws of death, he could not help but admire the monster's perfectly sculpted pectoral muscles. Those ungodly gains put any 180-minute gym rat to absolute shame. And so, an epic, life-or-death game of tag began, tearing straight through the very heart of the ancient monster forest. As he frantically dodged and weaved, 2 surviving derp chickens popped out of the tall grass. They flashed him sinister, mocking grins. Absolute karma had finally arrived to collect its brutal dues for his earlier feast. Furious flames burned fiercely in 𝘲𝙘𝙖𝙖𝙀𝙗𝙗 eyes, but he was completely powerless to retaliate. The psychotic mother bird was breathing right down his neck, hungry for sweet human flesh. In the midst of his desperate sprint, his innate Hawkeye skill suddenly awakened. The system revealed the beast's true identity, a 1.2-ton cockatrice. But more importantly, devouring its chest meat would unlock the ultra-rare muscle recovery divine skill. The moment those magical words registered, his absolute fear completely vanished. 𝘲𝙘𝙘𝙖𝙀𝙗𝙗 dug his heels into the dirt, preparing for a legendary solo showdown. For this muscle-obsessed maniac, god-tier gains were far more valuable than his own mortal life. Foolish mortals believe that mere lifting builds sheer mass, but true warriors know the sacred path of destruction. Brutal training tears the muscle fibers apart, temporarily draining one's absolute physical strength and combat ability. Only by devouring divine nutrients and achieving perfect rest can those shattered fibers reforge themselves into something vastly superior. This legendary, explosive growth process is known to the masters as profound muscle regeneration. 𝘲𝙘𝙘𝙖𝙀𝙗𝙗 knew that if he could just slaughter this feathered titan, his legendary physique would finally be completely restored. As the brutal, earth-shattering clash of titans commenced, an explosive, forgotten martial technique awakened within his boiling blood. With a single, devastating full-power punch, he completely obliterated the gigantic cockatrice's head, flawlessly claiming total victory over the dominant beast. The ultimate source of premium protein was finally his to devour. A divine system alert suddenly rang out. Warning: muscular endurance critically depleted. Emergency muscle contraction sequence initiated for supreme recovery. Later that very evening, our hero feasted on the most heavenly roasted monster meat under the stars. With a dash of legendary spice, it would have been absolute perfection. But little did Hansu know, terrifying shadows were drooling over him from the dark woods. In reality, it was merely 3 pathetic denizens of the realm, starved of fresh meat for seemingly endless lifetimes. They were completely mesmerized by the intoxicating, mouth-watering aroma of the mighty feast. They instantly recognized this terrifying, overpowered human. He was the unstoppable demon who had just slaughtered the cockatrice, the absolute nightmare of the entire forest. Trembling in profound fear, the trio dared not take a single step closer. But extreme, clawing hunger easily conquers all mortal pride. Casting aside their very last shreds of dignity, the 3 weaklings eagerly groveled for mere scraps. Gazing down at them like a towering mountain, Hansu demanded to know their true identities. They nervously introduced themselves as the ghoul tribe from the desolate 𝙬𝙘𝙬 territory. Activating his piercing hawkeye skill, our protagonist instantly verified their tragic combat stats. Indeed, these pathetic creatures were speaking the absolute truth. A rare spark of curiosity ignited within him, as this was his very first encounter with such mystical underworld beings. One desperate ghoul revealed their sacred mission: to find the almighty conqueror of the cockatrice, begging for any divine clues. With a casual, humble shrug, Hansu confessed that he was the monster's ruthless executioner. He even awkwardly apologized, thinking he had accidentally roasted their sacred guardian pet. Hearing this epic revelation, the 3 ghouls wept with overwhelming joy. They frantically explained the catastrophic aftermath of his glorious battle. With the ultimate apex predator wiped from existence, a brutal, blood-soaked turf war had violently erupted across the entire 𝙬𝙬 region. The cockatrice lacked high intelligence, but its sheer, unadulterated territorial rage had kept all invaders at bay. Falling heavily to their knees, they desperately begged this overpowered savior to rescue their crumbling ghoul empire. However, a true martial gym bro always has his absolute priorities. He flatly refused the quest, stating that his holy training for muscle restoration came first. Crushed by absolute despair, the tragic trio bid their farewells to return to their doomed village. Seeing their frail, empty-handed departure struck a tiny, merciful chord in his iron heart. He magnanimously offered them a massive chunk of leftover beast meat, knowing his current, unrefined stomach could not handle the entire legendary payload alone. Tears of absolute gratitude streamed down the ghouls' hollow faces. It had been literally centuries since they last tasted supreme protein. But just as one weakling bent his fragile spine to lift the colossal slab of meat, Hansu's martial instincts fiercely flared up. The terrible lifting form was an absolute insult to the iron. He instantly halted the foolish attempt, lecturing the ghoul that such a catastrophic posture would instantly shatter his fragile spinal cord. The pathetic creature merely blinked in utter confusion, completely failing to comprehend our protagonist's divine, muscle-building wisdom. "Do none of you pathetic fools know the sacred art of the deadlift?" he boomed with an overwhelming aura. "A deadlift? We have never heard such mythical words in our entire miserable lives," they cried out. "No wonder your limbs resemble absolute dried twigs." Hansu sighed. Suddenly, the ancient, profound wisdom of his childhood physical education master echoed loudly in his mind. A true master only achieves absolute enlightenment when he completely passes his martial techniques to another. If your muscle growth ever hits a terrifying plateau, become a supreme master to others, and your own power will violently shatter its limits. This profound philosophy instantly resonated with his blazing warrior soul. Sensing a golden opportunity for his own legendary evolution, Hansu decided to personally flex his might, escorting the heavy meat and guiding these frail creatures back to their settlement. Deep within the desolate, shadowy ghoul sanctuary, the Supreme Ghoul King personally welcomed our glorious, overpowered hero. The monarch endlessly praised Hansu for his divine food relief. Yet, our protagonist's piercing eyes were completely locked onto the king's grotesque, unbalanced physique. Stick-thin, fragile limbs supported a massive, gelatinous belly. It was the ultimate, horrifying, physical manifestation of a terrifying disease known as severe obesity, caused by absolute laziness. This pathetic guy definitely binges on ale and heavy grease, exactly like my repulsive, fat-bellied former manager. Skipping the useless royal greetings, Hansu boldly told the Ghoul King to cut the nonsense and get straight to the main point. He demanded to know the real reason for this sudden summoning. Trembling, the Ghoul King revealed they were facing absolute doom because of the giant cockatrice's death. The Ghoul tribe was the absolute weakest faction in all of 𝙬𝙬, Possessing zero combat skills and zero physical endurance, their only miserable fate was to feed on rotting leftovers. With an utterly unfazed expression, 𝘲𝙘𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚 boldly declared that he had absolutely no. Unaware of the impending doom, the Ghoul King exploded with absolute fury. He immediately ordered his lackeys to drag the 3 ghouls who brought 𝘲𝙘𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚 to the village. In a flash, the trio was bound tightly, thrown to the cold ground before the raging monarch. He glared down at them. "Do you still not realize the gravity of your sins?" he snarled, before commanding his grunts to bring out the execution weapon. "In this world, you bow only to absolute power. That is the law of the jungle." The king had planned to recruit the warrior who utterly crushed 𝘲𝙘𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚, seeking to bind that monstrous strength to his own army. But you 3 dared to deceive me. Now, pay the price with your miserable lives. He activated his skill, Heavy Mace, instantly doubling his destructive power. But just as the death blow descended, 𝘲𝙘𝙖𝙗 stepped in and caught the colossal weapon with his bare hands. "Wasting my precious time just to bully the weak? Is this pathetic display your entire village culture?" The king's eyes widened in sheer terror. "I activated my absolute skill. Did I mess up my aura output? There is simply no way a frail human trash could effortlessly block my ultimate strike." Desperately trying to save face, the Ghoul King convinced himself it was pure dumb luck. He started barking arrogant threats. "I will show you true despair. My heavy mace skill allows me to manipulate gravitational force, multiplying my weapon's weight by 2 to 10 times. Channeling every last drop of his current mana, the monster pushed the multiplier to 4. A 32-kilogram mace instantly morphed into a catastrophic 130-kilogram instrument of death. Combined with his explosive swing, the kinetic force was apocalyptic. Yet, 𝘲𝙘𝙘𝙖𝙗𝙗 merely stood there. He didn't even flinch. As his bare skin met the cursed iron, the weapon completely shattered. The king's jaw hit the floor in absolute horror. Before he could blink, 𝘲𝙘𝙘𝙖𝙗 subdued the massive beast using only 2 fingers. With his vitals pinched, the tyrant froze in pathetic, trembling fear. Striking a legendary pose, 𝘲𝙘𝙖𝙗 dropped the ultimate flex. This is the result of pure, unadulterated bodybuilding. Of course, these primitive monsters had never heard of such a sacred art. Seeing their confusion, 𝘲𝙘𝙖𝙗 immediately proposed a high-stakes deadlift battle. He would teach this village the true religion of muscle. The terms were set. If 𝘲𝙘𝙖𝙗 failed the lift, he would surrender his freedom and serve the Ghoul King forever. Like a true gym bro, 𝘲𝙘𝙗 warned his opponent to maintain perfect posture or risk a devastating lower back injury. Hearing this, a wicked, sinister grin crept across the king's face. It turned out, this rat had a hidden skill, Heavy Blank, an aura technique that defied gravity by reducing an object's mass. Once activated, the colossal barbell's weight plummeted to a mere 1/4 of its actual size. Using this filthy trick, the Ghoul King easily hoisted the 200-kilogram iron beast. But in reality, he was only lifting 50 kilos. Now, it was 𝘲𝙘𝙗𝙗𝙗's turn. He ordered the gaping crowd to closely observe his divine posture and biomechanics. Before touching the iron, the muscle monarch performed a flawless warm-up. Stretching the muscle fibers is an absolute necessity to prevent catastrophic cramps. The deadlift, also known as the lift of death, an ultimate full-body execution, where the lower kinetic chain does the heavy lifting. Step 1. Stand tall like a mountain, feet planted exactly shoulder-width apart. Step 2. Puff out that chest to the absolute limit, locking the spine straight by shifting the burden to the back muscles. Next, anchor your center of gravity mid-foot. Pull the iron steadily upwards, transferring kinetic energy from the legs through the entire body. Finally, explode past the knees. But right at that crucial second, the pathetic king triggered his dirty magic, multiplying 𝘲𝙘𝙗𝙗𝙗's 200-kilo barbell to an unimaginably crushing weight. However, facing this underhanded sabotage, our overpowered protagonist didn't even sweat. 𝘲𝙘𝙗𝙗 didn't just lock out the lift. He launched the astronomical weight straight into the damn stratosphere. The shockwave left the entire village gasping for air. Witnessing this godlike display of raw muscle, every single ghoul, including the tyrant king, instantly dropped to their knees. They begged him to become their supreme boss. On that glorious day, 𝘲𝙘𝙗𝙗 was crowned the absolute ruler of the ghoul village. Through the former king, 𝘲𝙘𝙗𝙗 uncovered the shocking truth. He had crossed into an alternate dimension, light years away from Earth. Yet, ancient myths spoke of other dimension walkers who actually found a path back to their home world. This brutal realm was called La, a savage domain driven by one fundamental, bloody doctrine: the strong devour the weak. Literally, the former king's name was 𝘽𝙚𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚. So from now on, he was just 𝘽𝙚 the subordinate. He guided his new master to the official training grounds of the ghoul warriors. To call it a training ground was a massive overstatement. It was just a pathetic, desolate wasteland of dirt and sorrow. Disgusted by their weakness, Hanzo commanded every living soul in the village to immediately assemble. At the barren field, the monsters had zero clue what their new overlord was plotting, but absolute fear kept them in perfect, shivering formation. Hanzo looked down at them. Ghouls were bottom-tier trash, barely surviving on the scraps and garbage tossed aside by superior races. "That pathetic era ends today," he roared. "Flesh and bone will be forged into unbreakable steel." For the next 3 months, he would drag them through a hellish boot camp to forge true, bloodthirsty warriors. Survive my regimen, and no race will ever look down on you again. The very first torture method of this 3-month hell was the classic push-up. It sounded insultingly basic, but maintaining strict, muscle-tearing form was an absolute nightmare. It was the holy grail for sculpting the pectoral and triceps into diamond-hard armor. Their singular mission? Master the perfect rep before the sun set. 3 agonizing hours later, the entire clan was coughing up their lungs, completely destroyed after barely surviving 700 reps beneath the scorching wasteland sun. Meanwhile, Hanzo was effortlessly smashing past 20,000 reps with a literal mountain strapped to his back. And the craziest part? He wasn't even sweating. Feeling utterly understimulated, the absolute madman barked at 𝘽𝙚𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚 to double the boulder's weight. The exhausted ghouls stared in mind-shattering disbelief. What kind of divine protein was their boss consuming? By now, the weaklings were on the verge of physical collapse. Mutiny began to whisper through the ranks. "Bring back the old king," they whined. "This isn't training, it's straight-up execution." When those pathetic words reached his ears, Hanzo's aura erupted in blazing fury. "It is exactly this rotten, cowardly mindset that crowned you the weakest trash in this world." His voice echoed like thunder. "Do you genuinely accept your fate as bottom feeders? This is the absolute wilderness. Only apex predators earn the right to breathe. Are you really planning to live on your knees, running like spineless vermin, while your families are butchered before your eyes? If you want to remain garbage, then get the hell out of my sight. I refuse to waste my sweat on cowards." But his eyes glowed. "For those who dare to stay and push past their limits, I will forge you into unstoppable weapons capable of protecting everything you love." Those soul-piercing words struck the village like lightning. The truth hit them. Pain was the only path to power. A fire ignited in their eyes. Not a single soul stepped back. Despite their muscles screaming in pure agony, they gritted their teeth and pushed the earth away, determined to conquer this hellish trial. Sweat poured in the training ground, so blood wouldn't spill on the battlefield. Hanzo had successfully planted the seed of supremacy in their hearts. What truly defines an absolute master? It's not just holding encyclopedic knowledge of biomechanics. It isn't even possessing god-tier genetics that shatter human limits. The ultimate coach is the one who can ignite the unyielding willpower and burning battle spirit of others. Right at that epic realization, a system notification flashed. Hanzo's eagle eye skill had evolved to level 2. The gears of time spun mercilessly. In the blink of an eye, 3 months of pure agony vanished. But deep in the canyon trails leading to the village, a sinister shadow slithered forward. The lizardmen tribe had arrived. Today, the cold-blooded, scaled warriors marched with one brutal goal: to eradicate the ghouls and conquer their territory. Little did these arrogant reptiles know, their stealthy invasion had already triggered Hanzo's absolute radar. A bloody grin spread across his face. He immediately ordered his newly forged ghoul army into their tactical ambush formations. The 3-month hell camp was over. It was time for a literal bloodbath. Meanwhile, the clueless lizardmen marched blindly into the kill zone. Suddenly, from the towering cliffs above, an apocalyptic rain of massive boulders crashed down upon them. Trapped and utterly defenseless, the vanguard was instantly crushed. Beaten half to death, they could not even stand. The realization finally hit them like a ton of bricks. They had walked straight into a deadly ambush. These village youths were no longer the weakest prey in the forest. Instead, every single one of them was an absolute unit, bulging with explosive muscle mass. The lizardman chief had to think of a countermeasure quickly. or else their total annihilation was only a matter of time. The chief sensed Gung-Lo's surging mana. He assumed this elder must be the mastermind commanding these monsters. Without hesitation, he decided to challenge Gung-Lo to a one-on-one duel, hoping to turn the tides of battle. "You cowardly ghoul! Step forward!" he roared. "Stop hiding behind your underlings. Come down here and face me in a real fight. Lord Hansu, how will you respond to such an arrogant provocation?" The challenge brought back nostalgic memories for the main character. He once kept a pet crocodile for fun. That beast boasted a devastating bite force of over 2 tons. But even that fearsome predator could not pierce through Hansu's iron-forged muscles. The crocodile ended up shattering its own teeth. "You have been my pet for way too long," he muttered. That memory reminded him exactly how to deal with aggressive reptiles. In a flash, Hansu leaped down and pinned the arrogant chief to the dirt. Step 1 of reptile subjugation. Force the lizard onto its back. Leave their vulnerable belly completely exposed to the sky. Step 2. Establish absolute dominance through eye contact. Just like taming a wild beast, you must prove that you are the superior predator. Unsurprisingly, the moment the chief locked eyes with Hansu's terrifying, predatory gaze, his fighting spirit completely crumbled. He surrendered instantly, silently praying this monstrous human would not eat him alive. And just like that, the ghoul faction claimed an overwhelming victory. Meanwhile, not too far from the village of 𝘬𝙘𝙖, stood the majestic Viros Principality. It is an absolute honor that such a small nation has birthed phenomenal talents like yourselves. I am entrusting you with a critical mission. Investigate the mysterious disappearance of Katris. We accept your command, Count Viros. But the general harbored deep doubts. Are you absolutely certain about this? Handing such a heavy burden to these inexperienced warriors? Haha, there is no need to worry, Count Viros chuckled. Despite their youth, they are once-in-a-generation geniuses. Labor wields a dazzling sword technique, treating his enemies like mere playthings. He is a true grandmaster of the blade. As for 𝘽𝙚𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚, he swings a colossal heavy greatsword. His monstrous strength could shatter any opponent's weapon into dust. If those two prodigies fight side by side, perhaps nothing short of a mighty dragon could defeat them. Then I assume that plain-looking warrior standing in the back is also an extraordinary figure? The Count hesitated. Well, that boy is a bit complicated to explain. Honestly, his combat abilities are quite ordinary, but Labor and 𝘽𝙚𝙀 furiously demanded he join the party. The 3 of them are childhood friends, and those 2 geniuses are fiercely loyal to him. Shortly after, the Golden Trio ventured deep into the dark woods to uncover the truth. Suddenly, a lethal ambush. A goblin perched on a nearby branch drew its bow, aiming dead at their blind spot. But Labor's reflexes were inhuman. In the blink of an eye, his blade pierced the goblin's heart. By then, the other 2 were completely surrounded by a vicious goblin horde. 𝘽𝙚𝙀 showed zero fear, instantly swinging his massive greatsword. Because it was a heavy-class weapon packed with devastating destructive power, every single swing left a trail of crushed enemies in its wake. Meanwhile, the 3rd boy had the easiest job in the world. Before he could even lift a finger, his 2 overpowered friends had already wiped out the entire horde. Block felt a bitter sting of envy watching his friends. All 3 of them had trained under the exact same master, yet he was the only one lagging behind. Perhaps this was the cruel, impassable wall between true heaven-defying geniuses and an ordinary person. Back at the ghoul village, the lizardmen were taking a crash course in Hansu's explosive muscle-building boot camp. "Thank you for everything you have taught us. Do not mention it. If you want to chase those gains again, just drop by." The ghouls cheered, telling the lizardmen they needed to pump iron with burning passion to get huge. Ultimately, the lizardman tribe departed with one burning question. How did a race historically known for being utterly weak mutate into such absolute powerhouses? It felt like pure magic. Their physiques are completely shredded. Even I was in sheer disbelief when I first saw them. During extreme workouts, muscle fibers tear and grow exponentially stronger through the recovery phase. However, if fatigue builds up in the central nervous system, combat performance drops drastically, and the risk of fatal injuries skyrockets. To prevent this catastrophic breakdown, one must rest and allow the body to dissipate the exhaustion. In the realm of lifting, this holy phase is called a deload week. By the time the ghouls hit their 9th week of brutal training, their bodies were screaming for mercy. Seeing their limits, Hansu ordered the entire village to take a mandatory rest day. To their absolute shock, the next morning brought a miraculous transformation. Not only had their muscle mass exploded, but they had even grown taller. Hansu activated his Hawkeye skill to scan their stats, and the results left him speechless. Their body fat percentage had dropped to a godly 8%. Even the main character himself never expected the ghouls to evolve at such a terrifying speed, especially since they did not use performance enhancers and had zero whey protein to chug. After the lizardmen left, Hansu ordered the village to prepare for a massive feast. One eager youth stepped forward, asking if they could hunt the prey themselves tonight. It was not that they wanted to skip their brutal workout, but rather, they had never experienced raw, life or death combat. After all, Hansu had always been the ultimate apex predator doing the hunting. Gulo chimed in, wondering if a fully awakened, muscular ghoul could ever defeat Hansu. Hansu just smirked and delivered the cold, hard truth. You are 100 years too early to challenge me. When it comes to lifting heavy, I can crush this entire village solo. Fired up, the whole squad marched out. Even on a hunting trip, Hansu commanded them to do walking lunges because a true warrior never skips leg day. Suddenly, one ghoul twisted abruptly during his reps and snapped his ankle in a brutal injury. Seeing the accident, Hansu instantly halted the march to inspect the wounded warrior. Later that night, under the pale moonlight, Block was relentlessly swinging his sword alone. He desperately wanted to awaken his own hidden power, refusing to cower behind his friend's shadows like a coward. While the rest of the world slept peacefully, he pushed his mortal limits to the absolute brink. Suddenly, Labor stepped out of the shadows. He advised Block to channel his aura into his thumb, making his sword strikes infinitely faster and more destructive. It turned out, the sheer intensity of Block's training had woken his companions. Henda chimed in, warning him that skipping sleep now would only leave his body shattered and useless for tomorrow's deadly battles. Without warning, the bushes violently rustled. A massive pack of lizardmen burst from the tree line, stampeding straight toward the trio. But their eyes were filled with absolute terror. They were running for their lives, fleeing from a monstrous presence lurking in the dark. Right behind them, a stampede of mutated crazy chickens was also fleeing in soul-crushing despair. The horrifying truth? They were all being mercilessly hunted by Hansu and his army of swole ghouls on a desperate quest for protein. A brand new ecosystem had been forged, with the main character reigning as the undisputed apex predator. Flashing back to that afternoon, the squad was perfectly camouflaged in the shadows, stalking their prey. These were no ordinary birds. They were plump, mana-infused chickens, packed with explosive nutritional value for rapid muscle gains. Yet, the ghouls still hesitated, traumatized by the sheer demonic ferocity of these crazy fowls. Right then, one of the mutated chickens lunged for a snack, but got its massive body wedged between two ancient trees. Without warning, the beast unleashed an earth-shattering battle cry. Its muscles instantly expanded with terrifying energy, and in a single heartbeat, both massive trees were cleanly snapped in half. It was a brutal reminder. A starving beast is a lethal threat. No wonder the ghouls had been too terrified to hunt them, witnessing the chicken's terrifying display of brute force. A fired-up ghoul youth immediately approached two similar trees to test his own limits. His pride refused to accept that after months of hellish physical conditioning, his newly forged muscles were weaker than a literal chicken. But despite pushing his physical limits, the twin trunks didn't budge an inch. I'll catch my breath for 1 minute, then try again. Take a full 3 minutes of rest, Hansu commanded. Stop tensing up unnecessarily. Focus your energy on shifting your heels. Guided by Hansu's absolute mastery, he perfectly corrected his stance. However, the roots were simply anchored too deeply into the earth. His current physical strength was far too weak to uproot it. Right at that moment, Hansu's sharp gaze locked onto the mutant chicken flock. Observing their movements, he finally noticed the glaring difference between these derpy birds and his loyal ghoul squad. Their muscle stabilization is just too perfect. That is why I miss this. Lord Hansu, is something wrong? Please forgive us. We cannot perform as perfectly as those beasts. Is our posture entirely wrong? It is not your fault, the overpowered master replied. Your muscle fibers have simply adapted to my current training routine. Starting from this exact moment, the entire ghoul village must undergo a massive schedule change. Hansu summoned the entire clan to gather in the training grounds. It was time to unveil a legendary new artifact and a brutal new exercise. This massive machine behind me is the cable crossover. It has been specially forged to completely shatter your fixed plateau. From this day onward, you will use this iron beast to forge your inner chest muscles. If you can master this godly technique, Crushing those mutant chickens will be an absolute breeze. The ghouls roared in pure admiration. As expected of our supreme leader, he always holds the ultimate answer. The master continued. This holy cable crossover exercise is designed to stimulate explosive chest growth. It will elevate your physical power to an entirely new dimension. However, this technique only unleashes its true magic when executed with flawless form. It ranks incredibly high on the difficulty scale for absolute beginners. Step 1. Lean your upper body forward slightly and maintain a slight bend in your knees. Step 2. Spread your arms out to their absolute limit, maintaining an unbreakable core. Dead center of the machine. Restrict all unnecessary movements. Step 3. Anchor your body precisely in the middle of the cables with the perfect amount of tension. Imagine yourselves as majestic eagles, preparing to flap your massive wings, then violently cross them together. Step 4. Altering the angle of your arms will target completely different zones of your chest armor. Do not let your arms tremble. You must maintain an iron grip, entirely resisting the cable's momentum. Armed with their master's divine teachings, the ghouls erupted with blazing motivation. They instantly commenced their brutal training. By the time they finally faced the mutant flock again, their chest armor had evolved to a terrifying new level. But shockingly, witnessing this display of pure testosterone, the demonic chickens also triggered a sudden evolution. Their monstrous bodies expanded, becoming far more massive than their original forms. Yet, the ghouls felt zero fear. They charged straight into the battlefield, their unyielding faith in the new training fueling their explosive strength. Both factions unleashed their battle cries, violently clashing, deep within the ancient forest. Meanwhile, Hansu stood on the sidelines, activating his legendary eagle-eye skill to analyze the bloodbath. The system revealed a shocking truth. The birds had evolved into cockatrices, boasting 132 kilograms of pure protein and a terrifying 12% body fat. The ghouls were completely outmatched. To halt these monsters from evolving further, they had to absolutely obliterate their chest muscle development. Meanwhile, back at the ghoul village, a single warrior remained behind. It was Gulo, who was burdened with the guard duty. Protecting a completely empty settlement might seem like a soul-crushing chore, but Gulo did not share that sentiment at all. Instead, he felt a thrilling surge of absolute freedom. Lord Hansu is truly a benevolent god, but our culinary tastes are worlds apart, and that is precisely why I secretly prepared this ultimate stash. Today's forbidden menu was ultra-crispy fried chicken skin. The sacred ingredients included thoroughly cleansed skin, fine flour, fiery chili powder, golden oil, and coarse salt. The very first step was to wield his blade with precision, slicing the washed skin into perfectly symmetrical cuts. If thrown straight into the inferno, a foul stench would remain. Therefore, sacred spices had to be applied to completely purify the meat. Next, he forcefully blended the blazing chili powder into the flour, forging a genuinely magical coating. Finally, he showered this golden dust over the prepared meat, before plunging it straight into a violently boiling cauldron of oil. Sizzle! And just like that, Gulo's legendary golden, ultra-crispy chicken skin was complete. But cutting back to the bloody battlefield in the forest, the ghoul squad was being absolutely massacred by the monstrous flock. They had forged their inner chests exactly as the master instructed, yet they still could not overpower these demonic birds. Later, Hansu delivered a brutally honest truth. You all have only been lifting for a mere few months. Meanwhile, these beasts have been naturally building their chest armor since birth just to survive. Forging a god-tier chest like theirs is no simple feat in this brutal world. He paused, his aura shifting. However, that does not mean victory is entirely out of reach. You must sear into your memories exactly how you survived to reach this point. A warrior must first fortify their absolute foundation, before they can unleash devastating explosive power. The true, untamed source of all muscular force stems straight from the lower body. It seems you have finally grasped the truth. You relied solely on your chest armor, and thus suffered defeat. But what happens when you fuse that power with the crushing force of your legs? Now, show me your burning souls and unyielding willpower. Having their minds completely blown by the overpowered main character, the ghouls entered a state of absolute frenzy. They roared and charged the monsters once again. But shockingly, the result was exactly the same. A single wing slap sent them flying across the forest. The bitter truth was suddenly revealed. Carrying massive weights across the entire terrain had completely drained their lower body strength, leaving their legs functioning like absolute jelly. By the time Hansu realized this fatal miscalculation, it was already too late. Having secured a flawless victory, the mutant birds began to glare down at the squad with pure, unadulterated arrogance. Their eyes practically mocked. "You weaklings are 100 years too early." The time for games was over. Hansu had to personally remind these fowls exactly who sat at the absolute pinnacle of this forest's food chain. The arrogant monsters, enraged that a mere human dared to challenge their supremacy, violently charged straight at him. Yet, staring down a stampede of death, Hansu remained as immovable as a mountain. He simply raised a single, relaxed hand forward. As the monstrous flock closed in for the kill, time itself seemed to freeze. Suddenly, cinematic flashbacks began playing in their minds. Memories from when they were nothing more than fragile little eggs, cracking open to the cruel world. They remembered their fierce parents teaching them the brutal arts of the hunt and the endless, bloody turf wars they fought against their own kind to survive. That ruthless evolutionary process had successfully forged their chest muscles into weapons of mass destruction. But tragically, the entity standing before them today was none other than the legendary Hansu. In a flash of overwhelming power, the entire flock was utterly decimated and prepared for the boiling cooking pot. He declared, "Without a single survivor, consume all this glorious protein today, because tomorrow you weaklings will have to hunt them down yourselves. Understood, Supreme Leader. And anyone caught chewing on the fatty chicken legs will face a penalty of 300 push-ups." When the sun rose the next day, under Hansu's absolute decree, the ghoul squad marched out for their second hunt. He issued a stern warning. "Stay sharp out there. An injured body cannot hit the gym." The master refused to accompany his disciples simply because he was far too busy blasting his own chest routine. Deprived of their supreme commander's tactical genius, the squad was forced to strategize their own battlefield maneuvers. Crunching the combat data, they realized that yesterday, Lord Hansu single-handedly slaughtered 27 of those mutant beasts. Therefore, their collective mission for today was to secure a minimum of 50 kills. To maximize their hunting efficiency, they split their forces into 3 elite strike teams. Should any squad face a life-threatening crisis, they were to fire off a distress signal for immediate backup. And just like that, the Ghoul Village's second great subjugation mission officially commenced. Meanwhile, in another sector of the forest, 3 young human adventurers stumbled upon the massive, picked-clean skeleton of a cockatrice devoured by Hansu's crew. The skull is completely missing. It looks like it was obliterated by an incredibly devastating, high-tier magic spell. A supreme being capable of one-shotting a monstrous cockatrice must possess the terrifying power of an archmage. Are we seriously qualified to handle this subjugation quest? Calm your nerves, Block. Even though your combat power ranks dead last in our party, we will guard your life with our own. Right in the middle of their dramatic pep talk, the very earth beneath their boots began to violently tremble. Boom, boom. It was an elite squad of heavily muscled ghouls, stampeding through the woods to herd their demonic prey. In a fraction of a second, the ghouls locked their sights onto the human trio. The adventurers froze in absolute horror and bewilderment, staring at an army of bizarre, bulging six-pack monsters for the very first time. "Halt your advance," the ghoul captain commanded. Humans are historically known as a vicious, bloodthirsty, and highly unpredictable species. We have no data on their attack patterns. Engaging them recklessly could bring catastrophic ruin upon our entire squad. What in the world are those ghouls doing? Is this some kind of pre-battle intimidation ritual? Quick, call in Squad 1 and Squad 2. We need to overwhelm them with sheer numbers. But the ghouls, they actually used their pectoral muscles to send out a secret signal. However, this ultimate flex completely enraged the demonic fowls. The furious aura triggered a sudden evolution. The mindless chickens mutated into terrifying monsters. Behold the monstrous cockatrice. Their goofy expressions vanished, replaced by pure bloodlust. The furious beasts charged straight toward the undead warriors. Squad 3 braced themselves, certain that their end had come. However, just as hope seemed lost, the captains of Squad 1 and 2 smashed into the battlefield. Reinforcements had finally arrived. Bolstered by their brothers, the ghouls shed their fear. Now, it was time to unleash the secret ultimate technique passed down by Lord Hansu. The perfect bench press formation. You did well to hold the line. When your form fails, a spotter must step in. But what is the absolute best way? To safely push past your physical limits? The answer lies in Hansu's forbidden bodybuilding arts. 4 ghouls link their muscles together in perfect harmony, forming an unbreakable vanguard. The one striking at the front would channel the explosive power of the 3 supporting him from behind. Through this legendary 4-man battle formation, the ghouls unleashed absolute devastation. They completely pulverized the demonic fowls, but one lone ghoul was left exposed, about to be devoured by a rogue cockatrice. Witnessing their glorious brotherhood, the 3 human youths leaped into the fray. Deeply moved by the ghouls' ironclad teamwork, they offered their strength. Together, they crushed the remaining beasts. But victory was cut brutally short. A shadow engulfed the battlefield. An absolutely colossal cockatrice descended. Its blazing eyes glared at the warriors with unfathomable wrath. The sheer pressure emanating from this alpha beast reminded them of a legendary ancient dragon. The first dragon, notorious for its endless greed and unparalleled cruelty. Terrified that a stronger dragon might one day usurp its throne, the ancient tyrant took extreme measures. It forcefully scattered its overwhelming power across the world, and through this forbidden magic, the cockatrice lineage was born. Possessing the distant blood of dragons, it might just be a giant chicken, but to these warriors, it was a walking natural disaster, an entity of absolute doom. Meanwhile, deep in his training cave, Hansu was completely focused on his chest flies, completely oblivious to the bloodbath outside. Though his muscle growth was far slower than in his previous life, he knew building the perfect physique took absolute patience. 3 months of grueling training had passed. At first, those ghouls were as frail as dried twigs. He had to forge their foundations from scratch, like teaching newborns how to properly lift. There were moments their spirits nearly broke under the weight, but the weakness of the flesh was only temporary. They pushed past their limits with a burning passion. Not a single warrior dropped their weights. Their glorious gains were the proof of their unbreakable will. Now, they possessed respectable physiques. Suddenly, "Boss, we have a catastrophic emergency. The fowls have mutated beyond our control. Everyone is facing total annihilation. If this continues, the entire squad will be wiped out. Shut your mouth and point the way. System alert. Energy output exceeds maximum muscle capacity. Critical danger detected. Do you wish to cancel this skill? How dare those overgrown pigeons? Lay a finger on my precious disciples." Override confirmed. Skill execution continues. Hansu stomped the ground with earth-shattering force. The very bedrock fractured beneath his overwhelming power. In a split second, he launched into the sky like a ballistic missile, vanishing from sight entirely. Back on the battlefield, Lair and Henda were fighting for their lives against the apex predator. One drew its monstrous aggro, while the other struck at its vital points. Their combat strategy was flawless, landing solid blows on the beast's weak spots. But its vitality was beyond imagination. It was astronomically stronger than they calculated. In a flash, a massive wing swat sent Lair soaring into the sky. Despite his rib-shattering injuries, the youth threw a thumbs up to keep his comrades focused. Seeing this, the ghoul squad activated their final trump card, the ultimate bodybuilding technique, the impenetrable muscle tower formation. But the mutant bird's onslaught was far too ferocious. Under an avalanche of strikes, their glorious formation was completely shattered. Just as the jaws of death closed around the ghouls, a meteor crashed down from the heavens, obliterating the beast on impact. As the dust cleared, a majestic figure stood tall. It was 𝘽𝙚𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚. Meanwhile, Hansu had pushed his leg drive too far, overshooting the landing zone entirely. Back at the crater, a whole flock of giant predators arrived, surrounding 𝘽𝙚𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚 from all sides. Yet, the ghoul showed zero fear, laughing in the face of death. "Is this all the power you overgrown turkeys possess?" That ghoul radiates the aura of a demon king. His explosive ranged attack was truly magnificent. "What are you all staring at? Did you truly think I would face you without a master plan? Could the Demon King have calculated everything? I have perfectly drawn all their aggro. Now is your chance to wipe them off the map. Lord Hansu, please descend." "Boss, why haven't you shown up yet? Where in the world are you, boss?" The Ghoul King boasted a bit too early. He is absolutely doomed. Unlike the regular ghouls, 𝘽𝙚𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚 completely skipped leg day and bench press sessions. Yet, his absolute authority remained unshaken. How did he maintain his absolute rule, even when his subjects were getting utterly shredded? The secret was simple. Lord Hansu had bestowed upon him a sacred and monumental duty. He was the Grand Master of Gravity, controlling their weight plates. Cornered by the beasts, 𝘽𝙚𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚 had no choice but to push his skills to the absolute limit, activating his max-level heavy blank technique. Its crushing force had grown exponentially while he wasn't looking. Previously, the sheer gravity placed on a single boulder was enough to instantly flatten an alpha fowl. But now, the entire flock was out for his blood. A cold sweat dripped down his spine. Sensing his hesitation, the squad erupted into roars of encouragement. If he could obliterate that monster with a single strike, his strength would rival Lord Hansu himself. No ordinary being could one-shot a behemoth of this scale. Could it be that I am an absolute genius, born with a destiny far above these low-level undead? Come at me, you pathetic pigeons. This great demon king shall reduce you all to dust. But before the heroic pose even ended, a massive talon swatted him into the stratosphere. This is it. We are actually going to die here. 𝘽𝙚𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚, I am so sorry for never laughing at your terrible jokes, facing the end with my brothers in arms. At least this death won't be lonely. We will fight until our very last muscle fiber tears. Thank you, Lord Hansu, for forging us in iron. The training was absolute hell, but the ecstasy of supreme strength was worth every drop of sweat. If there is a next life, please be our master once again. Miles away, Hansu finally located the crater where 𝘽𝙚𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚 crashed. The squad is on the brink of death. Boss, you must save them. System warning. Calmness skill activated. Warning. Overwhelming emotional surge detected. Calmness skill has been forcibly shattered. What in the world is happening? Why did the monster horde suddenly retreat? The beasts sensed a catastrophic threat entering the domain. They abandoned their prey to encircle Hansu. That is close enough, you pests. I am trying my absolute best to stay calm right now. System alert. Unprecedented rage detected. Scanning host's mental state. Calmness skill is disabled for 24 hours. This earth-shattering vibration in my chest. It can only be Lord Hansu. Who exactly is this Lord Hansu you speak of? He is our absolute master. The supreme leader. His muscle senses transcend human comprehension. Wait, is that really it? Mere words cannot capture his terrifying majesty. Once you witness his gains, you will understand everything. Why can't you just explain it simply? Lord Hansu is our new demon king. I still have absolutely no clue what these guys are babbling about. At that exact moment, a lone man stared down an army of giant beasts. Hansu unleashed the legendary one-arm dumbbell strike, instantly obliterating the frontline monster. Two more beasts launched into the sky. They crashed down with earth-shattering force. Hansu was buried deep in the crater. But fear? He didn't know the word. Channeling his pure lifting form, he deadlifted the monsters right off him. Leaping from the pit, another giant bird was utterly crushed. Our ancestors passed down a sacred truth. Your species builds raw muscle through the deep vibrations in your chests. That is exactly why I dragged you here. This is the perfect training ground. I can push my own chest muscles to the absolute limit. But what about you, pathetic birds? Do you even lift? Hansu planted his hands firmly on the ground. An illusion of an infinitely heavy dumbbell materialized behind his aura. His muscles instantly bulged to terrifying proportions. He transformed into an absolute titan of iron. Then, he unleashed his ultimate technique, the divine squat palm strike. The monstrous fowls were completely obliterated. The villagers arrived just in time. They stared in absolute shock at Hansu's one-sided massacre. So this was the legendary Demon King, the one the ghouls kept whispering about. With such devastating, overwhelming power, could he even be called human? Meanwhile, Hansu gritted his teeth. I overused my leg day reserves. Every second counts right now. How much longer can I hold this titanic form? If I drop the weights now, I will definitely die from pure muscular exhaustion. But sacrificing my own life is 1,000 times better than losing this entire village. If I give up my iron will today, how could I ever face the former Demon King? 𝘽𝙚𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚, you willingly sacrificed yourself to train me. I have to end this right now, with one single, ultimate strike. Maximum dumbbell quake. Activate. System alert. Ultimate muscle recovery skill engaged. Muscle fibers restored by 15%. Critical warning. The core and limb muscles are reaching total failure. Upper body tension is critically unstable. Immediate muscle relaxation is required. High risk of permanent tissue damage detected. Release upper body tension immediately. Lord Hansu. Lord Hansu. We will lend you our strength. The villagers charged in with burning resolve. Together, they finally brought the remaining beasts down. That is enough training for today. 𝘽𝙚𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚, I will never forget your sacrifice. Before Lord 𝘲𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚 arrived, the old demon king was always so terrifyingly grumpy. But the power of iron changed his entire personality. Wait a minute. Is nobody going to help me up? Do not just look away, you ungrateful brats. Come back here before I smack you. Thank you for your hard work today. Lord 𝘲𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚. The sudden, very alive voice of Gung left the entire crowd frozen for 5 full seconds. What is with those faces? My stomach was acting up earlier, so I just took a quick power nap before coming here. Gung, you are actually still alive? Hey, back off. Do not swarm me all at once. Give me some space, or I will really give you a beating. Welcome back to the land of the living, Gung. From this moment forward, let us protect this village together. Did he truly annihilate the cockatrice swarm all by himself? He is the one who took down the Alpha, right? Yes, I am absolutely certain of it. Lord 𝘲𝙘𝙖, please listen. That so-called Demon King is not the real issue, but that mysterious kid is dangerously powerful. We still do not know when they will show their true colors. I need to calculate this carefully. We have to figure out a way to deal with his overwhelming strength. Speaking of which, where exactly is 𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗? Did he not return with your squad? Meanwhile, back in the village. Excuse me, just what exactly do you think you are doing to him? Hey, you terrifying freak! Are you trying to hurt our friend? Whoa, look at this perfect genetic potential. These core muscles are no joke. Stop treating 𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗 like a piece of meat. Hey kid, do you want to break past your limits? Do you want to become truly unstoppable? That is not the issue right now. Look at the furious people behind you. So, do you want this power or not? I know you have dreamed of crushing your weakness. If you want to awaken your true strength, stay here and hit the iron with me. Back at the guild, the scout trembled. We had no choice but to let him take 𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗 away. Master, please, you have to save 𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗 from those vile monsters. We have no idea what dark rituals they are putting him through. It could be some twisted, forbidden black magic. It is truly a tragedy that he was captured. But rushing in blind against an unknown force, I cannot risk our lives on a suicide mission. Furthermore, your boss is not the type to gamble with death. No, I will not accept this. Today, we are going to teach those monsters a lesson. Both of you, gear up for war. What is with this sudden blazing spirit? This reckless charge is not like you at all, instructor. Move out of my way, old man. How dare they lay a finger on my precious student? We are going to rip 𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗 away from those ghouls. Meanwhile, deep inside the dreaded ghoul village. Listen up, everyone. Today, we have fresh blood joining the Iron Temple. To kick things off, we are doing squats. Excuse me, what exactly is a squat? Come here, I will show you the path to true strength. The squat is the ultimate foundation. It forges legs of steel and explosive raw power. It is the absolute king of muscle growth. Wait, 𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗, what are you doing? Why are you just dropping to the floor? Stop. Stop right there. Honestly, your form is completely pathetic. You look like a confused frog hopping up and down. You need to channel all the explosive tension into your quads. That is how you protect your joints from shattering. Plant your feet shoulder-width apart. Like this, sir. Keep those knees tracking forward. Descend smoothly like you are taking a seat on an invisible throne. Your arm placement does not matter right now, but every rep must be sharp and decisive. Drive the kinetic energy straight through your hips and thighs. That right there is a flawless squat. For a total beginner, your biomechanics are actually incredible. Have you ever trained your body before? Well, I have studied the way of the sword. Is that right? Then let us keep grinding these reps. Keep the tension locked in. Now, raise your arms up. I am going to add the holy iron to your burden. Lock in your posture. And squat. Outstanding. Everyone, give 𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗 a massive round of applause. The onlookers gasped in awe. He is squatting with heavy iron. Yet his foundation hasn't crumbled at all. Incredible. Just as I predicted. My eye for absolute muscle potential is never wrong. Now this is what I call true physical awakening. 𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗, you followed me because you crave strength, right? Yes, sir. I want to be a powerhouse just like my friends. But I am terrified that I am just too weak. To be completely honest with you, I know that a talentless failure like me could never stand on the same stage as natural-born geniuses. But I am still deeply grateful to you, Lord 𝘲𝙘𝙖𝙗𝙗. With your legendary guidance, maybe I can finally stop being a burden to my team. What kind of pathetic nonsense is that? You are going to forge a completely different kind of overwhelming power. A strength pure enough to protect everyone you care about. 𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗, Your latent potential is terrifyingly huge. Tears streamed down the boy's face. This is the first time anyone has ever believed in me. All right, wipe those tears right now. Crying kills your hard-earned muscle gains. System alert. Conditions met. The Hawkeye skill has evolved to level 3, Lord Han So. Why on earth did you bring those baby monsters back? We need a sustainable source of protein. We cannot just blindly hunt them into extinction. If we wipe them out, the Iron Temple loses its food supply. We must preserve the ecosystem for future gains. But Lord Han So, these terrifying fowls mutate and grow at an alarming rate. Raising them is basically a death wish. There are barely any warriors in this realm who can hunt them. Sure, our muscles can crush the chicks right now, but once they reach their catastrophic final evolution, nobody will be able to stop that bloodbath. Nobody except you, Lord Han So. What? Are you saying you cannot crush them yourselves? Are your muscles really that pathetic? Well, not exactly. We probably could. I knew it. You possess the inner strength. Why do you constantly underestimate your own supreme genetics? I was almost severely disappointed in you. Now, activate the deep stabilizers in your pelvic core. Engage every major muscle group for the ultimate isometric hold, the heavy plank technique. Are you ready to embrace the burn? My body and soul are ready, Master. Excellent. I am activating the divine skill. Heavy plank, ×2 multiplier. Feel that crushing gravity. Push through the pain. You can do this. But right in the middle of their holy muscle communion, hostile intruders smashed through the village gates. Are you the demonic monster who kidnapped our student? Kidnapping your disciple? I think there is a massive misunderstanding here. I do not even know who you are, and I am no longer the tribe leader around here. Your only answer should be yes. Or no! We do absolutely nothing here except pump heavy iron. What are you even talking about? Whoa, did he just casually block my sacred blade with his bare hands? Unbelievable. Did she actually manage to scratch my precious, hard-earned muscles? This older woman, her terrifying presence is genuinely dangerous. Hey, you two, is this the giant musclehead who dared to kidnap our dear Block? That is right, Master. He is the one. Block! Our glorious Master has come to rescue you. Block, where are you hiding? Please answer us. I apologize for interrupting your little workout session, young man, but holding someone else's disciple hostage is completely unacceptable in the martial world. Am I wrong? Wait, what is going on here? Block, you already had a personal trainer this whole time? This entire messy conflict could have been easily avoided if you had just been entirely honest from the very start. But pumping iron is way more thrilling than swinging a sword, right? Come on, speak your absolute truth. Why are you hesitating? I am deeply sorry, Master. But honestly, I absolutely love the art of bodybuilding more than traditional sword fighting. You traveled all this way to save me, and I deeply apologize. But I have already chosen my new Supreme Master. Is that so? Then I have no other choice left. I will just have to drag you back by overwhelming force. Without a shred of hesitation, the mysterious woman unleashed her ultimate technique. The heavenly sword slash ruthlessly descended. Facing the deadly aura, Hansu instantly flexed his massive muscles, turning his physical body into an impenetrable fortress of flesh. This severely wounds my absolute pride as a grand swordmaster. My ultimate strike only left a mere scratch on your skin? Block, is this the kind of monstrous physique you are desperately aiming to achieve? Yes, Master. Mr. Hansu is unbelievably cool. Fine, we will settle this the martial way. This musclehead and I will duel to the death for the right to be your true master. The victor's martial art shall dictate your ultimate destiny. You might be heavily mistaken, lady. Bodybuilding is not a mere martial art. It is a sacred routine of extreme physical conditioning, a relentless, bloody journey to forge and perfect one's own ultimate, godlike physique. I heard a crazy rumor that you slaughtered a fearsome cockatrice using this so-called bodybuilding method? Oh, that was strictly to secure my daily protein intake. Everything I do in this savage realm is purely for the sake of survival. So this bodybuilding nonsense is completely useless in real combat? Excuse me? What did you just dare to say to me? Why is your terrifying aura suddenly flaring up in blind rage? Did my harsh words crush your fragile ego? What is the actual point of sculpting your body if it fails you in a life-or-death battle? Put simply, it is nothing but absolute garbage. Oh, I will show you right now exactly what this hellish muscle training is meant for. Chicken leg, muscle compression mechanism. Fully activated. I wonder who would actually survive. If Mr. Hansu and Master fought to the bitter end, Just look at the massive size difference between those two monstrous figures. The answer is blatantly obvious. Physical size means absolutely nothing in true combat. Our master is one of the 10 strongest legendary warriors on this entire continent. Skill activated. Eagle Eye, level 3. Species, human. Class, Grand Swordmaster. With such a pitifully low muscle mass, how on earth did she manage to pierce my iron-like defenses? There is simply no way. A normal human could damage these tempered muscles with a mere blade. You bizarre alien freak. Just what kind of cursed martial arts are you secretly teaching? Because the divine sword arts that I pass down allows me to completely shred my enemies into dust using pure sword aura. Let a true senior teach you a brutal lesson in reality. Do you want to know exactly why I called you an alien, even though you possess a fragile human shell? It is because your demonic mana flows blood red, the deeper the crimson shade of your dark energy. The purer your demon bloodline truly is, and that bizarre physical enhancement you are wielding right now, no ordinary human can forcefully mutate their body structure mid-battle. As long as you have enough sheer dedication and willpower, anyone can undergo a miraculous muscular metamorphosis. Stop sprouting such arrogant nonsense, acting like you completely comprehend the martial truth. That unnatural phenomenon only happens to freaks of nature like you. Mere mortals must rely on internal ki like this to desperately bridge the massive gap in their physical limitations during combat. First stance of the heavens, 10,000 blades piercing the heart. No matter how desperately you try to spread your pathetic gym routine here, it is absolutely futile. Do you finally grasp the reality of the situation? Your so-called martial art is nothing but useless trash to humanity, and yet you arrogantly believed you could defeat me with such a profoundly shameful display of brute force? So, let me get this straight. All of your previous unfortunate opponents were utterly crushed by this exact same cheap trick? Tell me, were the enemies you faced actually stronger than I am right now? Why on earth would I ever care about such trivial details? Once they were foolish enough to become my target, not a single soul lived to tell the tale. We true disciples of the Iron Temple will constantly shatter our limits to conquer those who stand above us. And now, you will witness that overwhelming power firsthand. Wait, Master, can I please say something extremely important? I am so incredibly sorry. We honestly thought we would never cross paths with you again, so we desperately sought out the Master's divine help. We know this reckless action might make you despise us forever, but for some unknown reason, what in the world are you two talking about? Why would I ever harbor deep hatred towards my own gym brothers? Because you cowardly ran away into the wilderness when we cornered you. Wait, what? I literally came out here just to expand my bodybuilding knowledge. I was actually planning on returning to the academy later today anyway. Mr. Han Su even gave me his full blessing. Block, what kind of legendary martial art are you even studying here? We are dying to uncover the secret too. Well, I just joined the gym myself, so I am not entirely sure yet. Excuse me, Demon Lord. Could you graciously guide us on this brutal path of strength? I see no problem with that at all. Follow my lead, all of you. Cast your minds back to your very first day of sword training. What did your master declare was the absolute most crucial element? Is it not establishing an unshakable foundation in the lower body? Exactly. And with the ultimate training routine we are about to execute, we will completely obliterate and rebuild that entire lower foundation. We are going to strictly isolate the quadriceps through the sacred art of the barbell squat. Mr. Han Su explicitly warned us to master the flawless posture first. However, if we truly want to push our limits and escalate the thrill of the burn, then loading up the heavy iron plates is the only logical way. Are you completely insane? Would jumping straight into heavy weights not be practically suicidal? Fear not, my brothers. I will personally act as your divine spotter. Meanwhile, in another sector of the ruined battleground, Han Su was still exchanging devastating blows with the Grandmaster. But the atmosphere was growing bizarrely strange. The two titans were relentlessly pushing back and forth against each other's violent aura, looking exactly like two beasts hitting a heavy bench press. Why are you suddenly retracting your raw power? I am absolutely not. I am strictly isolating and concentrating my muscular tension. From a purely technical standpoint, this advanced maneuver is known as the peak contraction and squeeze. Wait, what is that agonizing noise? Why are Lear and Henda groaning in such pure torment over there? Unbelievable. It turns out these two innocent souls had also been fully corrupted into the hardcore gym bro lifestyle. What in the heavens am I witnessing? Are my precious disciples actually undergoing physical torture right now? Ah, they are simply experiencing the absolute ecstasy of heavy squats. It is a fundamental pillar of our daily routine. Excuse me, Lord of Muscles. Would it be entirely out of the question to integrate your brutal routine directly into my own formal sword training program? Are you serious right now? What caused such a lightning-fast change of heart? Because I vividly witnessed a blazing, unyielding passion within those heavy movements. I have finally discovered a profound sense of euphoria, just by gazing upon their sweat-drenched physiques, forging an unbreakable brotherhood of steel through sheer agony. Later, as the intense dust finally settled, while escorting the formidable Grandmaster and her disciples back to their territory, Hansu suddenly noticed a very intriguing detail. Your grip strength is absolutely monstrous, lady. Just what kind of hardcore regimen are you following? Ha ha ha! Has my legendary strength finally piqued your curiosity, demon? Very well. I shall bestow this secret upon you. In reality, I do absolutely nothing special, since my sole purpose in life is aggressively swinging a heavy blade from dawn until dusk. Did you honestly think I wasted time lifting iron? However, there is another mystery burning in my mind. Are you genuinely comfortable freely passing down these highly advanced training techniques without demanding a single gold coin in compensation? It does not bother me in the slightest. The more warriors pumping iron and breaking their absolute limits, the better. And why exactly does your mind operate in such a generous way? Because my ultimate dream is to establish an iron temple in every corner of this world. Furthermore, you will naturally unlock terrifying new levels of combat efficiency once you master these physical conditioning arts. Am I wrong? Spreading this supreme doctrine across the entire continent might actually be possible? I desperately want this sacred culture of physical supremacy to absolutely dominate every single kingdom. You are vastly more entertaining than I originally calculated, Musclehead. I have grown quite fond of your bizarre philosophy. I shall grant you one absolute favor, whenever you desire it. Later that evening, as the crew aggressively consumed their massive post-workout feast, Block abruptly shattered the comfortable silence with a heavy confession. Please forgive my sudden interruption. Mr. Hansu, you might be completely unaware of the dark reality, but the massive stronghold I hail from is a place poisoned by extreme prejudice. They do not just ruthlessly discriminate against anyone born with terrifying mutant abilities, but they also relentlessly hunt down dark sorcerers, shadow weavers, and anyone deemed unnatural by humanity. The human supreme authorities, even the highest-ranking ruler himself, has heavily biased the entire system to strictly favor. Younger folks like me might brush it off easily, but I was deeply worried that Hansu and our comrades might get hurt. Meanwhile, Hansu was busy gnawing on a massive chunk of chicken breast. Hearing the concern, he finally paused. This was undoubtedly a massive crisis. We need to slow down and completely rethink this journey, Block warned. But Hansu completely ignored the serious question. His intense gaze was entirely locked onto a wooden trough of animal feed. Look at this perfectly crunchy and sticky texture, Hansu marveled. Without a shadow of a doubt, these are premium raw oats. How could only horses get to feast on something so packed with pure nutrition? His eyes sparkled with sheer obsession. The others watched in absolute mind-numbing horror. This is a catastrophic situation. Look at him. He is actually devouring livestock fodder with a straight face. It does not even taste good. I guess monsters truly have pathetic culinary standards. Any proud monster would shed tears hearing that insult. Hansu chuckled. I have tasted your standard human military rations before. Honestly, they are incredibly bland and completely lack any soul. He scooped up another handful of oats. But do you want to taste my ultimate muscle fuel? The humans blinked in shock. Was this monster actually sharing his meal? I guarantee it is a culinary masterpiece. It has a clean, natural sweetness, and a brilliant hint of spice. That fiery kick was added with absolute genius. It is practically magical. I used to have a dead sense of taste, but this is phenomenal. Hansu grinned widely at the group. I will share this secret recipe with you all, once we safely reach our destination. So stop looking down on us monsters. Loud and clear, Sir Monster. General Rona finally stepped forward, her armor clinking. That is enough for today. We will resume our relentless march. First thing tomorrow morning. Hansu turned to her. You promised me one special favor. Remember? Of course I remember, Rona replied with a nod. Well, I have made my ultimate decision. I need your absolute backing. Regarding my grain supply, Rona looked utterly baffled. Is that not just filthy livestock feed? You heard my men. I heard you were planning to raise chickens. Are you feeding them the grains? Why waste a favor on bird food? Not the chickens, Hansu declared with burning passion. We are going to eat those glorious grains. I mean, I will authorize it if you insist. Rona sighed heavily. But it genuinely shatters my pride to watch you eat animal fodder. The ghouls nodded in agreement. She is absolutely right, Boss Hansu. She is a high-ranking human noble, and honestly, we monsters are not used to eating grains either. Hansu snapped his head around, his aura flaring. What did you just say? Say that to my face again. They are not wrong, Hansu. Rona interjected smoothly. If you want a truly magnificent reward, just name it. I could upgrade your ragged tent into a sturdy wooden cabin. I could even gift you the legendary armor of a true warrior, instead of those pathetic peasant clothes. And for food, I will give you all the premium chicken breasts you could ever desire. The ghouls cheered. Boss Hansu loves chicken breast? Fools! You know nothing about the science of gains, Hansu roared. Consuming only pure protein is utterly devastating for your body, especially your liver. But if we consume the perfect, divine ratio of carbohydrates, the glycogen synthesis will fuel explosive muscle growth. In reality, these humble oats are a complex carbohydrate matrix that perfectly slows down digestion. They boast unbelievably low calories while packing an explosive payload of nutrients. That is exactly why they are revered as the absolute king of grains. Back on my homeworld, Earth, therefore, there is no greater treasure than oats. The entire camp stared in absolute, stunned silence. No one understood a single word of his insane muscle nerd rant. However, his ghoul subordinates were suddenly boiling with wild, fanatical excitement. What is this magical food? Show it to us at once. This must be his secret weapon, the very source of power he used to stand against Lady Rona. Do you think this is the key to true strength? We proud humans cannot lose to monsters. We will eat it too. Even Block grabbed a massive handful. Let us test this mysterious power together. But the very moment the raw oats hit their tongues, a chorus of violent gagging echoed through the camp. Curse the heavens! This tastes like absolute dirt. Spit it out, Block. This is not fit for human consumption. Even the beefed-up warriors violently spat it into the dirt. Hansu munched happily. But it has such a satisfying, chewy bite. Are you all crazy? He even possesses a terrifying, unnatural talent for devouring trash. His power level will surely skyrocket at this rate. Rona sighed deeply. He is far too excited about this. I do not understand a fraction of your strange terminology, Hansu, but you clearly know your stuff. I will immediately initiate the mass production protocols to fulfill your request. Are you serious? Rona, you are the absolute best. Well, at least the human army did not lose any valuable resources in this bizarre deal. General Rona has returned. Open the massive iron gates. As they marched in, Rona shot Hansu a deadly serious look. Do you remember my warning? This is a nation of absolute extremists, the most powerful empire on the continent, built on heavy discrimination. The piercing, deeply judgmental glares of the citizens rained down upon them like arrows. The ghouls immediately hunched over, paralyzed by overwhelming awkwardness. What is wrong with you lot? Hansu barked. Fix your posture and puff out your chests. They are only staring, because your muscular physiques are absolute perfection. The ghoul's eyes sparkled with newfound hope. Is that really true, boss? I am 100% sure that is completely false, Block muttered under his breath. Yet, completely ignoring the hostile glares, the monster squad began proudly and arrogantly flexing their massive biceps with every step they took. Hansu smirked warmly. Man, why do I love these monster meatheads so much? Meanwhile, deep inside the Grand Was Castle, so, you are the arrogant freak who taught my elite soldiers how to properly train. The Lord scoffed from his high throne. And I hear you have been feeding them literal livestock fodder? Hansu crossed his massive arms. It is not fodder. It is premium oats. Essential fuel for explosive growth. Such blatant insolence, the Lord roared. General Rona personally requested to bring you special monsters into my impenetrable fortress. Let me make this crystal clear right now. If not for her direct backing, I would have slaughtered you at the gates. You would not have taken a single step inside. Thank you for your overwhelming generosity, my lord, Hansu replied, utterly unfazed by the killing intent. Do not dare cause any trouble in my domain. Just teach my knights your bizarre training methods, and disappear quietly into the shadows. Hey, if I finish my job early and you want to get shredded, I can be your exclusive personal trainer, Hansu offered with a blinding grin. I do not need your peasant workouts. Just do as you are told, you brazen fool. The high nobles of this era were notoriously insufferable. Hansu sighed inwardly. How was he supposed to fix the attitude of this prejudiced society? But the Lord's eyes gleamed with a sinister, hidden plot. This is the perfect opportunity. Guards, summon the ruthless 𝘽𝙘𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚 mercenaries at once. Let us see how this cocky monster handles real bloodshed. General Rona, your precious guests are about to bare their fangs at the wrong prey. Cut to the sun-baked, dust-filled military training grounds. Attention, everyone! Cease your sparring at once. A commanding voice echoed loudly. Today, we are initiating a highly classified special training regimen. The man standing beside me is our newly appointed special instructor, brought directly to the fortress by General Rona herself. I present the Ghoul Master, 𝘽𝙚𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚. The knights gasped in pure outrage. The Ghoul Master? What is the meaning of this madness? Is he not a filthy, bloodthirsty monster? Why in the gods' names is a vile creature commanding the elite human vanguard? The human instructor slammed his spear into the earth. I know you despise this new arrangement, but hear me well. If you dare to disobey his direct orders, you will be facing the absolute, crushing weight of martial law. Hansu stepped forward, his dominating aura practically suffocating the courtyard. Greetings, human weaklings. I am 𝘽𝙚𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚. As your special instructor, I will be completely tearing down your pathetic routines today. First off, I absolutely despise the weak, judgmental looks in your arrogant eyes, so every single one of you, hit the dirt. Right now! The cadet stood frozen in defiance. Why are you just staring at me? Did you not hear the man? Assume the plank position. Do exactly as Master Hansu commands. Drop down and tightly engage your core, you scumbags. The ghouls roared, ruthlessly enforcing the terrifying order. Are you going to disobey a direct command? Move your sluggish bodies. The sight of monstrous ghouls barking fitness orders at noble knights was ridiculously comical. Have you all lost your minds? Are you seriously submitting to a mindless beast? A noble cadet sneered. The human instructor snapped angrily. Cadet, watch your tongue. Calling Instructor Hansu a monster is a direct, unforgivable insult to General Rona's authority. The rebellious cadet scoffed mockingly. Is that what you truly believe, sir? Do you honestly equate the meaningless barks of a stray dog to the general's sacred decree? The cadet turned to the kneeling soldiers, his eyes blazing. Stand up, all of you. Are you really going to bow your heads to a creature born from the dirt? Hold on to your honor as proud, elite human warriors. The instructor gritted his teeth in fury. Military orders are absolute. Do you have a problem with that? I have a massive mountain of problems with this. The cadet roared back. First of all, we pure-blooded humans will never take orders from filthy beasts like him. Second, this pathetic excuse for training is a complete waste of our precious time. We are elite swordsmen. We have absolutely zero reason to study anything outside the noble, lethal art of the blade. And the final problem? We refuse to adopt the barbaric, uncivilized habits of monsters. The human instructor drew his weapon, killing intent leaking out. That is enough. Master Hansu, please wait. I believe I can personally discipline this insubordinate trash. But Hansu raised a massive, calloused hand to stop him. Stand down. Let me crush his fragile ego personally. Regarding your first complaint, my human comrade over there can instruct you in my place. That completely solves your pathetic issue of taking orders from a monster, does it not? The cadet glared dangerously. And the second issue? For your second point, I honestly do not know if pure swordplay is superior to raw, explosive muscle. After all, we have never tested it in a real, life-or-death, combat scenario. So how about we settle this right now with a brutal, one-on-one duel? Hansu cracked his knuckles, an intimidating aura flaring up into the sky. And as for your final point about us being uncivilized, let us see if your noble techniques can survive our savage, unyielding power. Hansu smirked, his battle intent suffocating the entire courtyard. Listen up, you fragile humans. Are you ready to be broken? The ghouls roared in deafening unison. We have been waiting to crush these arrogant weaklings. Unbelievable. Fine, I accept your challenge, coach. This is an official duel, right? I stand with the human faction. As for the other side, where are they hiding? Hehehe. Listen up, you brainless monsters. I am no mere cadet. Let me show you true despair. We are the elite 𝘽𝙘𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚 mercenaries, handpicked by the Count himself. Behold our overwhelming power. The battle officially began, but the moment this arrogant fool charged forward, bam! A single slap from our ghoul warrior knocked his soul out. Hey, are you breathing? Did he just die? Well, his legs are still twitching. He is probably alive. Hey, Hold back your strength. Are you showing off your power? My apologies, boss. Forget it. It was not intentional, so no apologies needed. Now that your side has been crushed, you will follow my absolute orders. Yes, coach. But little did they know, the humiliated mercenary had suddenly regained consciousness. He secretly channeled his aura. Taking advantage of the ghouls turned back, he launched a cowardly sneak attack. But before his blade could even descend, Han-So unleashed a casual palm strike. Boom! The mercenary was practically pasted into the solid wall. The very next day, Ryona arrived at the training grounds. Mr. Han-So, how are you? Those humans claim that you definitely use dark magic. I agree. He must have used a spell during the duel. This is exactly why monsters cannot be trusted. Coach, I cannot comprehend this absolute chaos. Explain this situation immediately. Yes, General. A violent clash broke out because certain individuals refused to bow down to his overwhelming authority. And then what? Our human elite forces were utterly crushed, but some insist the monsters cheated with magic. Mr. Han, so, did you actually use spells in that fight? I do not need cheap tricks like magic. Pure muscle is enough. General, do you seriously believe this beast? Suddenly, an arrogant voice echoed. I was merely passing by, but some fascinating rumors reached my ears. Tell me, what exactly is going on here? Tell me, General, does your loyalty lie with humanity, or have you sided with these filthy creatures? Naturally, my allegiance remains with humanity. If that is true, then whose orders do you follow now? Han-So interrupted. Did you come here to pump some iron? Dismount your horse first, Mr. Han. So, I highly doubt he came here for strength training. Oh, he did not. General, my patience is running remarkably thin. These freakish guests you brought are causing severe problems for our ranks. A soldier was brutally injured, and that is a massive violation. How could a noble lord like myself ever turn a blind eye to this outrage? As the absolute ruler of the Veros Duchy, I hereby banish you, General Ryona, for 2 entire years. But the moment those words left his mouth, Ryona unleashed a terrifying, bloodthirsty glare. The lord's aura instantly shattered. He practically wet himself in pure terror. My lord, that cannot happen. Please give us the order to slaughter those monsters. We beg you, retract your command. The lord was trembling, barely holding his bladder. Mr. Han, so, I deeply apologize for dragging you into this mess, without ensuring your absolute safety. Do not sweat it. Beings of our supreme caliber are rarely welcomed with open arms. My lord, at the very least, can we honor our 3-month agreement? I will keep my word. Excellent. The groundwork is officially laid. Silence, every single one of you. How dare you grunts talk back to the Lord? Do you still have the nerve to call yourselves elite soldiers of this nation? But General, I said shut your mouths, you pathetic brats. I honestly thought your extreme prejudice was only aimed at monsters. But it seems you enjoy disrespecting your superiors too. I should step back into the shadows. Let these arrogant little seeds face the harsh reality to truly grow. I wonder what kind of legendary warriors these sprouts will transform into. My return will be highly entertaining. Why is she smiling like a total psychopath? That night, under the cover of darkness, the soldier who provoked Han-So sneaked out. His pockets were heavy with bounty gold. Just a few more dirty jobs like this, and I will finally have enough wealth. I will never touch this filthy mercenary work again. This belle totally looks like a flower blossom. Maybe I should open a peaceful flower shop? My beloved wife and precious daughter, just wait a little longer. Daddy will be home before you know it. However, fate had arranged a cruel twist. He had no idea that his peaceful hometown was already consumed by a sea of hellfire. Ah, our beloved homeland welcomes us, in the most breathtakingly tragic way. Princess, care to share this dance of destruction? The next dawn broke over the sun slime forest. 2 ghoul warriors were on a mission. Wait, did your arm not get brutally shattered? Look, my flesh has completely regenerated. Hey, what are you brats doing with those slimes? It was Lord Block and General Ryona. Wait, did you not vow never to return after leaving with her? Well, about that. You still have not answered my damn question. Why did Mr. Han-So order us to capture these useless slimes? Their bodies cannot even be refined into healing potions. Just follow us. You need to witness this sheer madness with your own eyes. Master Han. So, we have returned. Oh, Block is here? And Ryona too? I just dropped by to check on the troops before my departure. Honestly, my curiosity is piquing. What is your master plan here? Flex your pecs and corner those squishy beasts. Seriously, what is the ultimate goal with this mountain of slimes? Watching my weak students on the training field, a profound realization struck me. Traditional heavy lifting and muscle-building routines are completely useless for these fragile kids. In a drastic situation like this, training them like explosive athletes is the only path to absolute power. But since we lack legendary gym equipment, I will forge my own. Wait, crafting divine training gear from slimes? Is it similar to the scarecrows used for extreme speed slashing? Not at all. This has nothing to do with basic swordplay. Boys, drag one of those slimes over here. Now, pay close attention. Once you capture the beast, you must extract its magical core. The core regenerates naturally in a few days, so we set it aside. Next, we punch a massive hole right through its center. Without its core of rebirth, these slimes possess god-tier elasticity. Then, we stretch its body with overwhelming raw strength. Boom! Before it can snap back into shape, we have forged an indestructible resistance band. Its final form looks exactly like this. 𝘽𝙘𝙘𝙖𝙢𝙚, I guarantee you have never seen such a relic. With this artifact, you can perform infinite workout routines. The resistance level scales perfectly, based entirely on their monster aura colors. We will categorize them by rank and unlock an entirely new realm of muscle growth. Mr. Hanso, I must offer you my deepest gratitude and apologies. For what exactly? You probably did not realize this, but I harbored heavy doubts about you. I assumed your extreme obsession with muscle training was just a clever disguise to infiltrate human society. But your dedication to our growth is undeniably absolute. I am truly a failure of an instructor. I lack the power to save the Veros Duchy from its descent into blind corruption. That agonizing weakness is why I silently endured the Lord's insane tyranny. But you are entirely different. I firmly believe your overwhelming presence can revolutionize this entire nation. Revolutionize it, you say? Let me demonstrate. Because physical transformation is my absolute specialty. He flexed his massive biceps. No, not that kind of muscle transformation. Then how about this legendary back pose? Still no. But this is the unstoppable change I have been talking about. Coach, let us see what this monster teaches us first. Just for the record, we did not show up because we lost. And do not force us into doing those bizarre, belly-flopping exercises on the dirt. Mr. Hanso, can I confidently entrust these arrogant brats to you? Of course you can. The gym membership numbers were exploding. Meanwhile, the winds of destiny were shifting. It was not just Hanso's faction evolving. The true battlefield had awakened. Listen up. Our enemies are an immortal horde. The most terrifying aspect of these undead abominations is their cursed infection. One bite, and you join their rotting ranks. Stay hyper-vigilant. Guard your war horses with your lives, and protect your own flesh at all costs. O glorious warriors of humanity, charge forward and obliterate them all. Wait, hold the front line. If we blindly rush in, making a move right now would only drag the innocent down into the mud. Making a move right now would only drag the innocent down into the mud. I just need to bide my time a little longer. Those mindless zombies? They are nothing but cheap props on this apocalyptic stage. Meanwhile, at the Gondo Principality training camp, listen up, you fragile twigs. The human body only holds a finite amount of stamina each day. That is exactly why we must isolate and obliterate specific muscle groups. Did your tiny brains process a single word I just said? Sir Han! Yes, sir! Everyone, grab your resistance bands. Prepare your bodies to stretch for the holy bench press. Wrong! Today, we are abandoning the bench press. We are doing CrossFit instead. CrossFit? What in the world is a CrossFit? Allow me to educate you. CrossFit is a supreme training art, forged by the legendary Greg Glassman. It is a relentless, non-stop crucible of physical endurance. It demands explosive performance and soul-crushing intensity. This means we will tear down and rebuild every single muscle group in your pathetic bodies. It requires you to push your physical limits in absolutely every direction. Think of your bodily stats as a perfect hexagon. By forming squads and chasing impossible goals, we will forge an unbreakable brotherhood and ignite a blazing fire of pure competition. I have already carved out the roster for each team. If your smooth brains are confused, go ask Ghoul. Now, bleed, sweat, and push beyond your absolute limits. Complete this hellish routine. But as the agonizing training dragged on, Han's ears twitched. Oh, a bizarre, heavy sound echoed in the distance. I have heard that ominous ringing a few times now. What exactly is it used for? Someone gulped and answered. Our Lord has been personally leading the vanguard. He is out there slaughtering the undead hordes. The monsters have been relentlessly swarming the castle villages. That sound is a desperate flare, begging for reinforcements. It seems the enemy forces are far more terrifying than anyone predicted. Suddenly, Han roared at the top of his lungs. Hey, you weaklings! Your core strength is completely collapsing right now. Drop the damn weights and fix your pathetic posture. The observer sweated profusely. Just as I thought. This muscle maniac does not care about the war at all. Meanwhile, on the bleeding front lines, the scouts reported in. We have successfully pinpointed the enemy stronghold. It lies at the very end of this cursed road. This is our chance. Annihilate them all and carve out an era of peace. All forces, charge. But a trembling lieutenant spoke up. My lord, I fear we have marched far too deep into the undead sea. The arrogant lord merely scoffed. Do not be a fool. Zombies possess zero intelligence. They are utterly incapable of advanced tactics. All we require is pure, unadulterated manpower and overwhelming brute force to crush them. Look at our glorious legion. Our vanguard is marching forward without a single hitch. All troops, hear my command. Do not dare slow down. Keep charging into the abyss. The absolute essence of warfare is pure, unstoppable momentum. Do not halt your blades until every last monster is eradicated. But right at that moment of supreme arrogance, a chilling shadow fell over the battlefield. The true mastermind, who orchestrated this entire nightmare, had finally revealed themselves. And that thrilling cliffhanger is where our epic tale pauses for today. Thank you all for tuning into this legendary journey. Until next time, stay strong, keep grinding, and farewell.